Hey, I'm Callie Lewis. You're watching Geek Brief TV. This is Brief 446, and I'm on the set of Techzilla with Patrick Norton.
Hi.
I stole Veronica's place.
Yeah, that one's over there.
That's over there, actually. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, pleasure. Welcome to the set.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here. So today in Cupertino, Apple announced a new generation of MacBooks. We saw MacBooks, MacBook Pros, a couple of changes to the MacBook Air, and a new cinema display.
Yeah, and the thing that sticks with me the most out of all the announcements today was Steve basically going, we're just not going to do anything to support Blu-ray. Good luck, thanks. Hope you enjoy your PC-based home theater.
And they had an FAQ where they got asked specifically about Blu-ray, and they were just like, no.
And it just bums me out, right? Because he's basically licensing issues. It's like, dude, you own a giant chunk of Disney / Pixar / whatever else they own this month. And he obviously, you know, he's going to wait for the market certainties. He basically, they're saying they don't care. Right,
at this point, right.
The best part, though, was him saying, and look, I love Jobs, I love Apple events, I love the whole, from a crafting an event, it's like the best thing since, you know, the rallies in certain countries that remain nameless. They're just so incredibly orchestrated, the way they bring in the audience and stack things. But he's like, we believe we have the best high-definition experience with our iTunes movie store, and it's like, oh!
Well, no, he didn't say specifically that. He was just like, we have the iTunes HD.
No, hold on. Basically, Phil was up there with Steve, and he says, I think we have the best HD experience in iTunes. Yeah, so, Steve calls Blu-ray a bag of hurts. Phil chimes in with, we quote, and this is from Engadget.com, we have the best HD movie and TV options in iTunes. So if you're...
So it was Phil, not Steve.
It was Phil, not Steve, but he's up on stage with Steve, which gives it Steve's tacit. After Steve calls Blu-ray a bag of hurt and says the licensing is too. Basically, if you want an iTunes-based or heaven help you, a Mac-based Blu-ray home theater system. This is doom, at least for the foreseeable future. Doom.
Okay,
not going to happen.
So let's talk about the specs. On the MacBooks, there are two versions, 2 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. And then the graphics processor, the NVIDIA GeForce 9400M. This they're taking across the board. Every new MacBook that they're going to make in the future will have this.
I think it's awesome.
Well, not in the whole future, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's great to have the upgraded graphics, especially when you look at some of the Intel graphics, how they've been lagging, ... It's nice to see NVIDIA getting some business, despite the fact that they're writing off a huge chunk of, I mean, you know, HP just announced a bunch of devices that are being replaced because of the problems with the NVIDIA graphics. So, you know, I got to say, I'm a big fan of not buying the initial round of any Apple notebook because
I can't help myself. I really can't.
Well, I got to say the best thing about the new, like the aluminum design, I think the entire aluminum design was because of all the MacBooks for a long time. I've had the MacBook Pros have had the aluminum case. It dents, it falls apart, it doesn't hold up to knocks and scrapes very well. The new MacBooks, the white or black MacBooks, they have a thin plastic lid that goes on a tray. So many people, even people who you know, I have big, heavy hands and wrists, right? But people where they hold the edges, that's funny. But the edges, like where you know what I mean, where the edge falls apart, where it comes up against the bottom of the case, where they just. I've seen most of the MacBooks I've seen in the last 6 months, if they're over a couple months, all have that sort of cracking and disintegrating thing. So you get this aesthetically pleasing, beautiful device that has a very thin faceplate over the keyboard, and that starts to fall apart.
And so now this new brick technology is supposed to make all that better.
Yeah, I want to know how they're actually scaling this, because they're saying if it's, I think it's a stamped piece of aluminum. They say it's carved from a piece of aluminum.
Right.
You know, CNC milling aluminum takes a lot of time, but I do like the idea of a big solid chunk of metal.
That's really cool.
Of the notebook.
So I think the most important thing is the new glass multi-touch trackpad.
We actually are going to have on Techzilla on Saturday. We've got somebody here from Engadget. He's going to show it off. So everybody's got to watch Techzilla, and it comes out on Saturday. I'm going to get my grubby little paws if they'll let me touch it, because I'm really curious about how it feels.
Yeah. Well, I was actually reading through Engadget as the press conference was going on in my hotel room within walking distance. I wasn't able to attend, actually. But I was reading through Engadget, and they were mentioning that it looks like it's going to take a little bit of getting used to.
Most new pointing devices, most new keyboard layouts, pointing devices. The thing that I think is going to be really interesting is, have you seen the new sort of design for the monitor itself?
Yes.
I just see that being this giant haven for thumbprints.
Right? Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm more curious about.
And they didn't choose to go with a matte option.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that. Everyone in my chat room on the live stream. Yes, exactly. On my live stream, everybody in the chat room was upset about that.
A lot of people, I know a lot of people who do photo editing that are huge. They're all about that. Some video editors that are all about not having the matte option.
Yeah.
For me, I'd kind of like the matte option, but I don't get it anymore.
Yeah. So it did apply to 17-inch MacBook Pros. They didn't actually mention 17. They just mentioned 15. But the new MacBook Pros are 15 and 17. Some changes to the ports on the MacBook Air, and then really cool, the Cinema display. Yeah. It is actually specifically designed for the MacBook, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. As a second monitor, I'm like, ooh.
I gotta say, like, Apple's made some beautiful displays in the last few years. I just think of them as being really beautiful and incredibly overpriced for what they deliver. If you need to have that, like, I've got the Mactastic experience on my desktop, it's great, but there are so many ways to get comparable monitors, at least in terms of these sort of looking at the screen standpoint, for a considerably lower investment. So, you know, call me cheap.
Cheap.
You know, why pay triple the price for the same performance?
Well, for more information on the MacBooks, the MacBook Pros, the MacBook Air, and the Cinema displays, you can get all the specs over at geekbrief.tv. And to see Patrick, the wonderful Patrick, and the wonderful Techzilla, and the cheap Patrick, no, I'm just joking. You can find that at techzilla.com.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Oh, wait. GB1, GB2, and GB3 discount codes at GoDaddy.com. Save money on your domain name registrations.
Actually, stop down for 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Cut.
We're still a good speed.
We'll just dance.
I can't.
Patrick, come on.
Just give me 1 second. I'm also going to fast-save this. Sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry, hold on. All right, let's go for it.
Okay.
3 on 3, so let's do this in 3, 2.
And we're back. Patrick, so do you have the quote?
You know what? I had it, but every time I move the iPhone, everything goes help.